See? I just wanted to see if I could get you to you're like, hey, Frozen. Good evening. I am Christopher Balzano,
And I'm Ella Balzano.
and welcome to Tripping on Legends Live. Do you know what this episode is called?
Homebound Haunted?
No, Home Haunted. Close. I was going to do Homebound Haunted, which is why everything is labeled Homebound Haunted. But then I thought about Hospital Bound, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit. So I decided against that for an actual answer, because an actual title, because it was like too freaky out. And it's Homebound, while the inspiration for what we're going to be talking about tonight is kind of a downer, right? Like, we are homebound. How are you holding up?
Not very good.
No? How come, do you think?
I like talking to people.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen anybody in over a month.
Yeah, that social aspect of things. And for us, it's important that we get out there. We haven't been out there since spring break, and spring break was kind of interrupted because we had to do local ones, which was fun. That was me waiting for you to respond.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Mm-hmm. But it's still, we haven't been out in the field for an actual legend trip in a long time. But we have this all of these things at our disposal technology-wise, and we have all of these things that are out there kind of in the ether. The ether is like the spooky parts. And I thought it would be a really good time to maybe exploit / just use those things, right? So what we're talking about tonight, and tonight we are on Facebook. So if you're not following our Facebook, it's Facebook.com/Tripping on Legends. And we're actually going live on Instagram as well. And the Instagram is Spooky Tripping.
Yes.
So follow those things for us so that you can actually get these updates. We are also on Twitter at Spooky Balzano, and of course trippingonlegends.wordpress.com is where we kind of put everything. But the best place to get news and to get like these live shows that we're doing as they air, so you can become part of the interest, you can become part of the excitement that is Tripping on Legends, is to follow us on Facebook or to follow us on Instagram and get that stuff. So we're going to save that part for later, trust me. Let me tell you kind of what sparked this. So like I said, we're homebound, we're stuck in the house, and yet we have this natural urge to go out and do spooky things, right? Spooky. You and your brother have been mass consuming BuzzFeed Unsolved, right? Both now paranormal and unsolved crimes.
We're desperate, man. We're desperate. There'll be sports conspiracies too soon.
There is one. There is a sports conspiracy on there. Okay.
He's gonna find it.
And that, well, Devin's not that much into sports, but he is into music, and he's been consuming our Gary Patterson books. And there is more than has ever been in this house, even given what I do. There's been this need or this desire to touch the paranormal, to touch the supernatural. And so I made a video a few weeks ago that I put out there, and the spark of the video was, give us urban legends that are part of the house, right? And I got a very interesting response to it, which was a whole bunch of people telling me what their local urban legend was, right? Now, I'm not sure if that's because we're old and so our minds don't work as well, or just because we're old, but no one actually answered the question. The question was, what are urban legends that you can trip at your house without leaving? So the more that I thought about this, the more that I kind of was rolling around in my head, why is that? Why were no people who I was able to contact, why did they not get the question? And more importantly, why do they not have those kinds of urban legends right at the go, right? Like, they could say it, they go, oh, you know what we used to do? And hopefully once we've kind of sparked this discussion, people will go like, oh, wait a minute. I get it when we go, when I think back about my childhood and stuff like that, I can come up with these. I guess in some ways I could have named this sleepover haunted, because a lot of the things
these happen at like midnight and 3:33 a.m.
And like, it's that
kind of thing.
And it's the kind of thing that people used to traditionally do during sleepovers, right? Now you've had a lot of sleepovers, but and I think we've talked about this in the past. The fact that sleepovers are not as much a part of childhood as they used to be, right? So people are not. Yes, Margie, we're definitely covering that tonight. People are not as likely to engage in that activity, and so there's less spread of that. And yet there is a way that they are spreading it, and it might seem really obvious and it might seem like we're talking about some things we've already talked about. We're going to have a different angle on it tonight. So I'm rolling this around in my head. She's like, Dad, why is this the part where you talk all the time? Am I right? That's what you're thinking? Just fully. Drink. Show everyone, while I'm talking, you can show everyone your coffee mug that the Easter Bunny brought for you.
It says, as I suspected, I was right all along.
Yes, perfect for you. For those of you guys who don't follow my personal Facebook page. I was watching a fairly good documentary. I would recommend it, but it was had a local interest to it, which is what kind of drew me in, and that was Wrinkles the Clown. Now, you were supposed to watch Wrinkles the Clown with me. What happened?
You did not. I did not.
Why not?
Because you're a traitor.
Or because every time I asked to watch it, you chickened out. And you were like, I'm not watching it.
I didn't chicken out. Devin was like, BuzzFeed.
Whatever. So I decided to watch it the other night when the kids weren't here. And you know what? To be honest with you, I wanted to watch it to see just how weird it was. And it's a great documentary in that there are two really good things about it. One is that it's a documentary within a documentary, or an urban legend within an urban legend. And I had kind of heard that it did something like that. So it twists, it changes. It doesn't go where you think it's going to go. It's not about what you think it's about. But the other part of it is in the middle, they started talking about other urban legends that had gone viral, other creepy urban legends that had gone viral. If you don't know Wrinkles the Clown, he is a local clown.
In our town?
Naples, actually. Did you know that? It was in Naples? You didn't know it was in Naples? Oh, God, it would have been even freakier for you then. Who reportedly gets paid by parents to freak out kids. So parents, are you blocking your ears?
Yes.
Why are you blocking your ears?
No spoilers.
No, that's what the whole thing is about. That's the thing you know going into it.
All right.
Oh, my word. So you pay, if your kids are misbehaving or whatever, you pay this clown to come in and freak your kids out so that they'll start to behave.
Oh, God.
And it is you've seen pictures of Wrinkles. So he's pretty creepy, and his inspiration and his thing of going. Are you bringing up a picture of Wrinkles? We're not going to show the audience, but you can do it for yourself.
How creepy does this man look? Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy, right?
Oh, God.
So there's nothing about Wrinkles that's supposed to be in the tradition of a clown. But it's a great thing about viral urban legends and things like that. But in the middle, they talked about several of these other viral, and here's the important part, kid-driven urban legends. And that got me to thinking that the reason why people weren't able to respond to that question, when I was jokingly saying that it was because we're old, I wasn't joking all that much. I think it is definitely...
Do they still do Wrinkles?
Oh, yeah. Should we put Wrinkles on the list? Okay, we'll put Wrinkles on the list. We will. Kids are spreading these via the internet. In the same way that we used to spread them at sleepovers, or we would spread them at campfires, those kinds of things, while not gone, are not a driving force of youth. Have you ever been to an overnight camp? No, right? You've had sleepovers.
I've had some,
but I know we've had people who have had sleepovers here or at your mom's house who have said this is the kid's first sleepover, and we're like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah, and even Devin, like at an older age. So what we're talking about tonight, and I got to be honest, some of these freak me out.
Oh yeah,
some of them freak me out.
The last one,
and I'm it's an interesting idea because I wonder how scared these kids are and why they're doing it. So let me ask you, because you've, if not done some of these, you've read about them, you knew what some of them were. When you do them, how scared do you guys get? Like how weirded out, how freaked out? Why do you do these things?
I guess it depends on the results.
What do you mean?
If something were to actually happen, they would probably only talk about it amongst themselves. They would probably never tell you, unless something like weird were to happen and you had to like do something about it. That was
right.
Man, you mean Candyman?
No, Slender. You don't know who Slenderman is?
No, they said the man with a hook for a hand. Did they mean?
Those are two different things.
But
they just go on. We're live here. I'll talk to you afterwards about it.
Okay.
I get what you're saying, Margie.
But if nothing happened, we would probably just be like, we would probably make up a lie. So either way, we quote unquote did it.
Right, and it's the doing of it that is the thing, not whether something actually happens, right? It's the actual like weirding yourself out, creeping yourself out, doing it. So
like,
this is
like a mind trick.
Right, a mind trick. Good phrasing. So this is the essence of legend tripping because we don't really expect to get any results, right? We're not really setting this up to gather evidence. What we're doing is we're setting these stories up to put them out there, to explore kind of why we're scared of them, the ritual of them, and what we're going to do. And I say we, but it's not going to be we. It's going to be me mainly. We are going to do a series of these over the course of, let's say, the next week. So there are some, and I'm going to get into why on some of this. There are some that maybe because of their newness, to me, old man, maybe because of their the ritualistic nature of them, they kind of freak me out to do with the kids, like with you here. Like some of them I feel like we can do because they're more interesting. And what I want to, as I'm what the focus of this is going to be, it's got to be a ghost or it's got to be like a monster or a demon, right? So we've got some comments about Slender Man, the Hook, the babysitter. That people are commenting about. This is stuff that inherently you do inside the house. And it involves not just something creepy, but something supernatural or paranormal. And we've got a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because we added one, that we're going to talk about, and we're going to do it over the course of a few different nights. This one. Yeah. So, should we get into it? And I'm going to be honest, like some of these, I'm a little concerned with doing them. I'm not going to lie, like some of these kind of freak me out. And I've been to...
I just got to say, number 5.
Which is actually number 6?
5, yes. Number 4, which is actually number 5. And number 5.
The last 2 are the ones that are really freaking me out. Yes! Colleen, you've hit on number 3. So let's start with number 1. So the first 3 are going to be ones that even us old folks are probably connected with. She is going to get our first prop, I guess. And the very first one is one that, is very divisive in the world of paranormal and very divisive in the world of the non-paranormal. It's one of those things that people have definite opinions on, and it's really interesting because they have definite opinions on it, and then those definite opinions change and they swing the other way. I've been on different ends of the spectrum of my ideas on this. And I am now on the, hey, I'm willing to have my daughter do it with me side of it. So, and that is what, Ella? Number 1, our first home. I'm going to knock that off. First home is not Stranger Things. People can't see what it is. I know, but that camera can't see it. It is a Ouija board, right? So Ouija board are you would say, kind of like the front line of home bound or home focused hauntings, right? So whether you did it in an investigation, which some people do, whether you did it as a little kid, whether you did it as a teenager, whether you did it as an adult, there is something both appealing, seductive, and freaky and scary about actually doing a Ouija board, right? And to the point where she's doing that, and there's an instinct in me to be like, "Don't put your hand on it by yourself." Put the platelet down, put the pancetta down, and just hold the board. So, those of you guys who are viewers of the shows and kind of regular followers, you know what happened to my old Ouija board. So this was a Christmas present. Was it a Christmas present or a Halloween present? I got this one for her. She is both obsessed with the Ouija board and obsessed with the show Stranger Things. So I took the best of both worlds, and we got a Stranger Things board. Tell me what you know about the Ouija board, Els.
So it said that like you take this thingy right here and you put it on here, and you lightly touch it, but you do not move at all once you're touching it, and then you use like the residual energy, I think, and like it said that some ghost can like push it around.
I don't know if residual energy is the right word there,
but I don't know.
But it's kind of one of the ideas is that you're focusing your energy on it. I mean, there's different ideas as to why a Ouija board works, right?
And you also have to say goodbye at the end, or you're dead.
Right, and so
you're not dead, but
you're continuously haunted, right? Like people will, you'll be doomed for the rest of your life. And people have talked about this being the gateway to hell, to this being completely fine, and it's all like just an innocent game, like everywhere in between. And we did an entire episode. Natalie and I did an entire episode on Ouija board and Ouija board lore. So we're not going to get into too much of that, but I will definitely put a link in the show notes so that people can view that stuff and some of our Ouija board sessions. Have you ever done the Ouija board yourself?
Alone?
Yeah, well, not alone, but have you done it with? Have you ever used a Ouija board? I guess is what I'm saying.
Without you?
See, this is my way of seeing if she's doing what she's supposed to be doing. Yeah. Have you ever done it before?
No.
Have you ever done it with me?
Yes.
So you did it once.
I did it once at Natalie's. I didn't touch it much.
And
I just watched.
And I got mad and I came in and took it out of like, you can't be doing that. No. Mainly because I didn't want her mom to get mad. Because like I said, people do have ideas and beliefs about this.
You still.
So.
But then,
do you think it works?
I don't really. I've only played it like once, so I can't be for definite.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't a very successful session that we had.
It wasn't. Nothing really like. It spelled stuff. It was like it went and stuff, but it didn't spell anything.
Yeah, and that's the kind of frustration with that. It's kind of like when it works really well, it works really well. But I will say this about it. I don't think that it's a tool of the devil, and I don't think it's any more or less dangerous than ghost or spirit communication of any kind. I think that anything that you do, if done with the wrong intent, leaves you open or whatever, putting first prop away, leaves you open to something if your intent isn't good, if you don't close those gateways, things like that. But that is the easiest. That's the first one we're exposed to. We're exposed to that. Most kids at an early age. At sleepovers, I don't think it's as frequent as it used to be. Do your friends know about Ouija boards? Keep in mind, Elle is 10, so she's a little bit younger than the demographic we're talking about, but she's also very close to the prime demographic that these stories are meant to hit.
I would say because they know me, what a Ouija board is.
So you've corrupted them into the world of the.
This is wonderful. And
there is an obsession, and this is important as we go through the rest of these. There is an obsession with tween into teen, but more tween. And I would think that you and your friends are pretty sophisticated for 10-year-olds, so we'll call you tweens, and you're almost 11 in a few weeks. But there is an obsession with the paranormal that we've talked about multiple times on the things like that, and the focus of. Oh, what's going on here? Hold on a second. This did it last time too. Which is the focus of different things that we've done, and was the focus of one of my books. But you guys write stories about ghosts. You write stories about the paranormal. It seems like everything you do, at least at one point or another, touches that.
Right now, we're working on a story about a monster in a bush.
A monster.
That's our main story right now.
Okay. That's what she said. All right. So we're going to move on, and I'm going to switch 2 and 3. because the modern day version, I would say, of the Ouija board, not that the Ouija board has ever gone away, but the modern version of that would be Charlie. So, and actually, Amanda has said in the chat room that Charlie was marketing for the film The Gallows, and I am going to kind of talk about. That was, I think, Ella laughing.
That was me. My bad.
I'm going to talk about it from my perspective before we talk about the details of it. In that, the definition of an urban legend, like people say urban legend all the time, it's not the real definition of it. An urban legend, one of the defining characteristics is that it pops up in multiple places seemingly simultaneously, right? So if you go back to Wrinkles, if you go back to like the Crown Craze of 1982, like those reports were popping up at different places almost simultaneously going viral, the way that things can go viral. Like they're not necessarily, the story isn't necessarily based in the present, and your variation of it might be, your town or whatever, but the idea of it or the story of it happens very quickly in different places, seemingly on its own.
Also, I'm sorry for having a crazy laugh.
No, that's okay. You'll be as crazy as you want, girl. Charlie, when it first hit, and I'm not sure when The Gallows came out, but I'm going to say it was 2015, 2014, 2015. It went from being something that no one was talking about to being such a disruption in Lee County schools that they had to ban it in the classroom. And the basis of the banning, conveniently, had nothing to do with the paranormal, nothing to do with the supernatural. It had to do with the disruption in class. It was the fidget spinner of its day. Like all of a sudden it went from no one had heard of it to all of a sudden, bam, like schools across the county, schools across the country, all of a sudden Charlie was a thing. So it was instantaneous, which does make it feel like it was some kind of viral campaign. I like how your hand is up. She's so desperate to be in a classroom, she's raising her hand. Go.
I do remember that in like second or third grade, me and my friends played Charlie at recess.
Oh my word!
At the end
I do remember this actually. Continue.
You do?
I do remember this.
It was Destiny.
And
basically, the teachers they found us. They were like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And we're like, "Oh, we're playing a game." And I don't think they fully understand what we were truly doing, and that was like before the time when everybody really knew about it.
No, that was after the time, really.
Yeah, it was.
That was after the time it exploded and went viral.
People were doing it very discreetly with in schools.
Well, why don't you explain to people who don't know what Charlie is? What Charlie?
So,
How many times can I say Charlie? I feel like if Charlie were Candyman, like Uncle Charlie's gonna burst through the mirrors or something like that because you've said Charlie so many times.
Please stop. You're scaring me.
Well, you don't think it would be nice to have Uncle Charlie burst through the...
Uncle Charlie.
No? Okay. Continue. Go ahead.
All right. But basically, Charlie is you have a paper. Oh God. Okay, and you split it into 4.
You can get it afterwards.
All right. You split it into 4 pieces, and you write yes, no, yes. I believe it is.
Yeah.
And you put like a pencil in the middle, and you're like, Charlie, and then you ask a yes or no question, and you spin the spinner, and it goes around and around and around and around, and whatever it lands on is your answer.
Okay, so that's partly correct from what I understand.
That's not how you do it. My
Okay,
bad.
she's correcting herself.
It's basically you say Charlie, and you ask the question, and you wait.
Mm-hmm.
You have to wait for the spinner to move, and whatever it lands on.
Right. So you use a pencil as the spinner.
Mostly.
And
most of the time.
Mostly. And you kind of, now this one was interesting. So what you do is you put the pencils like this to mimic the 4 squares, and then the top pencil will move to yes or no as you ask the questions. But before you start, you have to, and there's ritual changes, but it's like Charlie, do you want to talk to us? And then it moves yes or no, and that's how you start the session. And so it's very much like a Ouija board very limited though, in terms of like the way that you go about.
You just call him Chuck.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Ooh, nice AC going turned on. We got the fan off for production value. So
Stop touching it.
I can't stop touching it. We'll get to what that is later. But it's this very cheap, effective, sneaky, stripped down version that was very popular for a very short amount of time and still is popular. Kids still know about it. But it's kind of tailed off. So like about 2 years after it was big was when you and your friends were doing it outside. Yeah, and was your teachers mad? Were your teachers mad that you were doing it?
They were kind of mad. They were like, "Stop it!" It was like the end of the session. They were like, "Stop! Don't do that." And
do you know if they were doing it because it was like, "Stop! You're communicating with the devil," or just stop because you're doing something? And I'm a teacher, and we're supposed to stop people from doing stuff.
Second one.
Okay, good. I was like, which one was the second one? So those first two, I feel, are totally ones that we can do. So those are ones we can do one on Friday night. We can do one next Monday. Those are ones that we can easily do because there is no time to those, right? A lot of the ones we're going to talk about tonight and a lot of these legends have this time that is inherent in it. Like you have to do it at a certain time or else it doesn't work or something else goes wrong with it. But these, both Charlie and Ouija boards, we can do at any time. So do those sound like two good ones for us to start out with? Go ahead and if you're going to yawn, go like this, Dad. And yawn underneath it so people don't know you're finding me boring. All right, good. Let's get to number 3. And I want you to introduce number 3, and I want you to tell me what you know, because once again, this is something that we've done an entire show on. So, number 3, which is number 2 on here, because we switched them up.
All right. So this is one of the bathroom legends that Dad talks so much about because it's like, why are bathrooms so connected to paranormal and all that kind of stuff? And
way to promote last week's episode.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
And basically, if you want to know more, go look at it. But
she still has to work on her transitions there. That's okay. Go ahead, continue.
But so basically, this was a really big trend that you were supposed to do, but I don't think there's like any certain set time. It's just that
there is.
There's a popular time.
There is
for it. But basically, this bathroom legend is called Bloody Mary. Yeah.
So explain what Bloody Mary is to a 10-year-old living in 2020. What is Bloody Mary, and what can you tell us about that?
Okay, so Bloody Mary...
We'll talk more about mirrors in a little bit.
...is...
What, that was me being scared.
Was this?
Message in the comments. Continue. Yes.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Basically, you stand in front of the mirror at 12 o'clock or 3 a.m.
Whatever you want. Whatever you say.
Either 12 o'clock or 3 a.m. It differs depending on, like, the person telling the story. So basically, go into the mirror and you spin around, I think it was. You spin around and you say... I don't want to say it.
Bloody Mary.
Times 3.
Times 3.
And then you say it, and you're supposed to look in the mirror, and supposedly there is a girl whose husband chopped her head off, ? I think that was the lore behind it, or somebody chopped her head off.
Someone. We don't know who chopped the head off. Someone chopped the head off.
But basically they chopped the head off, and you're supposed to see her behind you.
So if anyone,
what I know about it.
So if you're listening and you're like, what the hell was that? Because that is not the Bloody Mary that I know. You are looking straight into the face. I have no idea where she's going. You are looking straight into the face. She's got to turn this light on because now we're already starting to freak her out. That did almost nothing. Straight into the face of the beauty and why Bloody Mary has stayed for so long. It has changed and it's morphed with its time. I say all the time, all literature is a reflection of the life and times during which it's written. Bloody Mary is a reflection of the time that it's told. So when I was a kid and growing up and all this stuff, it was you had to light a candle.
Oh yeah, I forgot to light a candle.
You looked You said Bloody Mary five times. You blew it out, and then Bloody Mary appeared behind you, red demon, and she never actually touched you or anything like that. That was the one that kind of was traditional when I was a kid, and it dates back to supposedly there was this woman named Mary who, and once again, this story changes. And her original name was Mary Worth, so people would say, "I believe in Mary Worth. I believe in Mary Worth" 5 times. And she was disformed in one way or another. Sometimes it's from burning, sometimes it's from an assault. We focused last week a lot on sexual assaults and the connection with those kind of things in the bathroom, so that's there. And sometimes she scratched you. Oh, she covered all the mirrors of the house because of her deformity, and so she comes back to get revenge on people who taunt her. That was the one that I grew up with. That was, even I didn't know the Mary Worth part of it.
Why would you taunt her?
Well, just by looking in the mirror. Isn't that what you're doing? Are you taunting her by calling her out? And that changed. So then all of a sudden, as I started to meet people from other parts of the country, like in college, it then became 3 times. Although 3 is kind of a relative thing too. Good call. It sometimes becomes she scratches you, she'll push you, she'll invade your dreams, anything that's kind of like that. And of course, the entire movie of Candyman is really Bloody Mary with a racial twist to it and a socio-economical twist to it. Can you say that socio-economical?
Socio-economical. No!
See? So every time you try to get me to say phantom, I'm going to get you to say socio-economical.
Phantom.
It's really that story just kind of morphed. Now, one of the things, and actually I think this is the very first video that we put up there, first official Tripping on Legends video, was how Bloody Mary had changed in her generation to be, once again, the 3, because her generation today are obsessed with the number 3. But also, Candyman is a great movie, but also it changed to 3 o'clock in the morning. So it became part of the 3 a.m. challenge, was that you had to wake up and you had to do Bloody Mary exactly at 3 o'clock. Now, tell me if you can, because this is going to become relevant for the rest of the things that we're going to talk about. What is the kid's obsession today with 3 a.m.? That was my old man voice, in case you didn't get that.
I got that. So...
Why is 3 a.m. and the number 3 so important to the folklore and the urban legends of today, especially these digital creepypasta type ones?
In 3, like the spirit of 3 is like throughout the whole like stuff of like paranormal and folklore. Number 3 is to mock the Holy Trinity.
Okay.
And so basically, if you do that, it's like a sign of sin, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And like
the devil versus God kind of thing.
Yeah. And also, it's either 3, which not a lot of people do because, never mind. Not a lot of people do 3 unless they're like, they know about paranormal stuff. It's either 13 or 666.
Right, so those numbers are big too, right? And of course, there was the entire like paranormal state, which, while forgotten by a lot of people. I mean, you've never even like because Paranormal State watched the show Paranormal State, because that show kind of had an entire witching hour, 3 a.m. quiet time that pushed forth the idea to paranormal investigators and also to people watching about the paranormal that was an important number, which then kind of, there might be some reasons for it. It is that 3, and we're going to talk actually an interesting twist on that with one of these. But it is this kind of thing that's kind of now stuck. And so 3 has become the thing to talk about. We're going to get into our last 2, but our last 3, I should say. Before we get into them, though, if anyone has 1, 2, 3.
Oh yeah, we haven't done that.
Before we get into that, I just want to throw out the numbers once again. Why don't you do the numbers? Because you were making fun of me not remembering them, and I don't have my glasses on.
All right. So the number is 813.
Dead time it was called. Yes, thank you. Sorry, go ahead. What is it again? Just kidding, go ahead. I'm gonna be quiet now. I'm gonna just play with my.
Stop.
No.
Okay, so we've got 813 418 6822.
I did. It's pinned.
Where's
It's pinned.
that?
It's pinned to the top.
Yeah, go scroll up to the top if you want to.
Okay, beautiful. Not that you already don't have your speed dial. The next one, I'm going to say, how you doing? Next one, I'm going to say touches into kind of old lore. We've already talked about it. It was briefly mentioned in the chat room.
This is probably one of my favorites that we researched.
Really?
Yeah, I liked this one.
Okay, I'm not that hot on this one. I'm kind of like, yeah, and. But I think it's the one of the three that we're going to talk about now that freaks me out the least. And I'm not quite sure about why you need a second person for this. So I'm going to change the rules of this one a little bit.
No, I think
and maybe do it by myself.
I think you need a second person because exactly at 3:33 you have to call out the name because if you get in there longer.
Yeah, I got it. I can handle that.
Spooky.
Part okay, so these next two we're going to talk about. As I was doing research, I found a great website called ghostsinmymachine.com.
Mm-hmm.
And it's run by a writer named Lucia Peters. And it's a really good site. It's a really good ghost site and kind of urban legend site. But she has one whole section that has to do with these ghost games. So even tonight, as we were kind of doing this stuff, we were looking at it saying like, oh, wow, we might have to do a follow-up episode if we survive these games because she has so many more that we didn't even look into. So we're going to talk about three that we got from this site. That's ghostinthemachine.com. It's going to be in the show notes as well. And why don't you, because you like this one so much, why don't you do this one called Three Kings?
All right. So the players, should I read this part up here?
No.
Okay. So the players that you're
Can I say something before you start?
Yes.
Sorry. One of the interesting things about this is it's got that great these great warnings in it, which of course is why they're so entertaining, right? So these three especially are the ones that have now like gone viral or went viral. And all of them say, no matter what you do not play this game. And there are so many warnings throughout them that pretty much it spends like a fourth of the time talking about what actually it is and a 3/4 of the time talking about how you're going to die. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the appeal to it. It does have this kind of like, will we, won't we, we're going to freak ourselves out doing it factor to it. So go ahead. Tell us about Three Kings. Okay.
So the players that you need for this is one principal and one partner optional. Note, you and your partner should both be mentally, emotionally, and spiritually stable. Do not attempt if either of you are having serious issues in your life.
Like quarantine
for 3 months.
Continue.
Do not attempt if either of you have consumed drugs or alcohol within the last 3 to 5 days. Requirements: 1 large empty room.
Why don't you go down to what you do?
All right. Instructions.
The prelude.
Begin at 11 p.m. Do not begin if your partner is not present and or has not been briefed on his or her role. Your partner should remain in your home for the entire duration of the game. Place 1 chair facing north in the center of your designated dark room. This chair will be your throne. Place the other 2 chairs on either side of your throne, facing it an arm's length away. These will be your queen's chairs and your fool's chairs. Place one of your 2
Hence the Three Kings. So you have someone in the middle, and then the 2 chairs, and 1 chair is supposed to be the queen, and the other chair is the fool. So I would imagine if you're a girl doing this, you would be the queen, and then the king, and the fool. All right. Not to be sexist, right? So to take the sexist aspect out.
Place one of your 2 mirrors on the queen's chair and the other on the fool's. Why is it glitching?
Don't worry about it.
The mirror should be perpendicular to the chair's seats and facing both each other and you. You should be able to see your own reflection in each mirror from your peripheral vision while seated in your throne. You should not have to turn or move your head to do so.
I love this direction.
Place the bucket of water and mug in front of you, just out of reach. Place the fan behind your throne. Set it to medium or low. Never high. Never, ever. Never, you can't. That's disgusting. And turn it on. Make sure it is stationary, not oscillating. Leave the room.
How can you be 10 years old and you know how to pronounce the word oscillating? Freak. Continue.
Leave the room, but keep the door open. Go to your bedroom, set the candles, lighter, alarm clock, and cell phone next to your bed. Make sure your phone is charging and set your alarm clock for 3:30 a.m.
So the concept of this is you set it up at 11 and then you go to bed at 3:30 and you go to bed until 3:30.
Turn the lights off, hold your object of sentimental value, your power object, climb into bed and sleep. The main event. Wake up at 3:30 a.m. when your alarm clock goes off. Turn off the alarm. Do not turn on the light. Keep a of your power object, pick up your cell phone, light one candle, and return to the dark room. You must be seated in your throne by 3:30 a.m.
3:33. This is important because this number continues to come up. It is complicated. Okay, so what I'm going to say is this, and then you're going to finish this. It does seem like a really complicated setup, but all you're essentially doing is creating a mirror gazing situation, right? So you're creating a situation where you are sitting someplace, you are going to ask questions, and you are going to get the messages, or you're going to get things from either the queen or the fool. So the spirits are going to talk to you through the mirror. So it touches back to all of these classic ideas of being able to mirror gaze and the urban legend of losing your soul within a mirror, or that the mirror is a gateway to the spirit world. The reason why I let her read the rest of that, you're going to summarize it if you can, rather than reading the rest of it. The reason why I let her read that was so that you could get just how intricate these kids make these rules, right? And I think there's two reasons for that. One, I think it adds to the mystique of it. You have to do this, and you have to do this, and you have to do this, right? And it creates here's the important part, a ritual, right? It's not just, some kid fooling around playing a Ouija board. Da, 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 da. And I remember when we used to do the Ouija board, we used to get very serious. We used to have things that we did. People that I did, we did the same thing each time, and it had certain kind of rituals attached to it for us. It's creating a ritual out of this mirror gazing thing. And all of these times are very specific. You have to do this at 11. You have to have this. You have to have this. Make sure that you do this. Do not proceed if this. Your cell phone has to be charged. And I think one of the other things it does is it sets off this self-doubt thing that happens afterwards. So let's say demons from beyond do not invade your soul that night and talk to you. You have an automatic reason why not. Oh, you know what? Because you know why? Because we did it at 3:34. Stupid us. We forgot to. I think that there are things. Part of the reason why it's so intricate is if it messes up, then there's always someone to blame. You could have done it better because you know what? You're going to do it better next time. Next time you're going to be able to do the ritual a little better. You learn something from it. Can you summarize the rest of this?
Yes, I would try. A bunch of things do not proceed if any of the following occur, including finding anything that you left open or on in the room, off or open or closed.
Right. So there's a lot of things that are like, if the doors are closed, if your alarm goes off, if your cell phone for some reason didn't charge, it's a hint that there is. Oh, we're gonna get into the. Trust me, Seraphy. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into the one man hide and seek in a minute, or a little bit.
Okay.
So then what happens to you if you do everything right, all these intricate plans, if you get it all right, and if no demons, spirits or whatever make your cell phone not charge, what is going to happen when you sit in this chair?
Okay, so only focus on the darkness in front of you. Do not look at the mirrors, and you can ask questions, talk to the darkness. If you do get a response, your response will come from one of the mirrors in one of the directions.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever settles in the mirror, it is either a queen or a fool.
So you could be getting good information or stupid information.
Remain in your throne until 4:34. Okay, so basically at 4:34, your partner calls out your name because you really have to trust your partner in order to do this, because
I have trust issues, so I'm going to just use a cell phone.
So if
that goes off at 4:34.
So if they do not call out your name at the end of the game,
what happens?
Bad stuff. Never says.
It doesn't say on this one?
If your body is suddenly moved, the fan will blow out. Do not ignore. Yeah. Should you become lost or disoriented, your power object will guide the way. And then that's it.
That's really good. Okay, so it's basically mirror gazing with a whole bunch of really intricate rules.
It's cool though. I like it.
Here's my problem. I don't have two mirrors in this house. Like to actually get two mirrors, I was looking at it. I could have the mirror that is.
Ooh, look.
I know.
That's cool.
You could have. I could have the mirror that's in your jewelry box in one chair. That little one. It's a little mirror on that. The tiny one. Trust me, you want a mirror as small as possible when I'm the person that's in there. And then I've got that one that was on your bureau before. And we actually used that back in the day for a few Bloody Mary rituals, way back in episode 4 or 5. She's like, "Wait a minute, you used a mirror in my room for rituals?" Yes, we did. You know what? You should listen to the episode, and then you would have known that. So that one's going to be a little bit hard to set up. There's a lot of things that are going on, and the other thing you're going to notice in a lot of these, or in these new ones, is a start time and a stop time. You need to stop at exactly 4:34, but they don't give any explanation of 4:34. Now, here's the thing. I know we've got some people who have kind of hinted at it in the chat room, as well as some people who I know when they hear this are going to say, there's actually an interesting idea behind, which is, I don't think, intentional. That was kind of weird, right? You have 3 a.m. in the 3 a.m. challenge, and we've talked about that. But now this new, fairly new...
I'm just going to say I'm afraid of these, so I'm afraid of...
That's why you're not doing them either.
That's why I'm not doing it.
The interesting thing is that is unintentional, I think, is in trying to connect with this whole 3 idea, people have actually twisted it a way that they didn't mean for it to be twisted, because 333... I know, the AC will come on in a sec. You can go turn the AC to a lower temperature and they'll go back on again. Or you can plug the fan in if you want. The AC went off and it's eerily quiet in this room. 333 is actually an angel number. So it's actually a number of protection and a number of divine intervention. It's an angel number. It's a protective angel number. So it's really funny to me in doing my research that, because the 333 kind of stuck in my head, that in an attempt to make 3, sure, okay, but I'm making a point here. You can't just stop. In an attempt to make it even creepier by making it 333, like 666, they actually did the exact opposite, and they gave it a holy name and a holy kind of angelic aspect to it. Or maybe it wasn't by mistake. Maybe it's one of those #follow the sign things. Ella's going to talk to you about why this legend is cool to her, why you like this one.
Cool to me.
You said you like this one. So you say why you like this one while I plug the fan.
The Three Kings one?
Yeah.
The next one is going to make me pee my pants.
No, I'm with you. Please don't put your pants on camera.
I will try my very best. All right. So basically, what's so interesting to me about this is the fact that it is like not something that you would usually see. Like maybe sometimes you saw like a merchant or a fisherman or something like that. But I like the fact that it's.
Can you feel this, fan? That's you really care. You really care more about the sound, right?
Yes, right, I don't like sounds, but basically, like I like how it's a king and a queen, and now like some like.
And we're back.
Quote unquote. The spirits didn't like that. All right, so the quote unquote like peasant people, like a merchant or a fisherman, or like a library person or something like that. So like some of those people in medieval times were not very rich. And so I like the fact that they did like the king and the queen. And they also, my favorite part about this is the fool. The fool aspect of it, which is basically...
You are a fool.
I know. But basically the aspect of it is that you can either get good information or totally stupid information. And it depends on what you believe. is like which one.
Which is one of the reasons, which is why it annoys me, because it's like, even if you were supposed to be talking with spirits, you are intentionally setting it up that you're going to get bad information or good information, but who knows?
But
that kind of annoys me about it.
Basically, like I like the fact that like you don't know which one is which.
Yeah,
and that gives you a reason to just not do the ritual.
Okay, should we skip that one?
No.
Of course not. Of course not. Of course not.
Still
Can't skip that ritual.
Still do it.
Okay, so let's move on.
Oh, this is
So the next one, and if you follow us on any of our social media platforms, you have seen what I put were essentially the directions for this, or the ingredients for this. Anytime that you are looking at a ritual, or you're looking at some kind of urban legend, and there are like 27 different things you need, and it starts with like a doll, and then you've got to like sew things and all the stuff like that, you know you're getting into something that's pretty crazy. And once again, very, very intricate. And this next urban legend, which was kind of already talked about in the chat room a little bit, is one-man hide and seek. So rather than doing everything that we did with this one, we're going to summarize it. So the first thing that you need for this is essentially what you're going to be doing is you're going to be using like a doll as a playmate. So this one is already freaking me out because we've done plenty of stuff about cursed dolls and things like that. So what are you doing?
I forgot what the fear of dolls is called.
She's going to look up the fear of dolls. You're going to get a doll, and you're essentially...
Pediophobia.
What is it called?
I have pediophobia.
Pediophobia?
Pediophobia. Dolls are so...
So we've got two potential dolls to perform this on. And so we wanted to let you guys get your feedback. You guys vote on which of the two dolls you think we should use for this ritual. So should we reveal them in 3? All right.
3, 2, 1. Wait, there we go.
All right. So this is my suggestion. And that's Ella's suggestion.
I can't tell which one's creepier.
They're both pretty creepy. And okay, so I'm going to be honest about these next two. They completely freak me out. Don't do that. And part of the reason that they freak me out is, once again, it sounds like voodoo. There are ritualistic aspects to these next two that, to me, whereas I know in my heart, I know that these are weird things, these are kid things, these are things that just go viral. But there's also this aspect of these very, very specific ritualized things you do, which seem like the kind of things which are dangerous, that we mess with, but we don't know what we're really messing with, and we think it's fun and games, but it's not. So these actually freak me out much more. And the reason why I use this one is this actually was a voodoo doll that was once used. And so I don't think, on Tripping on Legends, I love to double down, but I don't think I would genuinely want to double down with this one in terms of
also,
what was a former voodoo doll being used in a ritual.
This could be a voodoo doll. This is a voodoo doll of that one Chuck E. Cheese employee you saw. The one dressed up as Chucky. One day, he's just going to be walking through the park or like walking through Chuck E. Cheese, and he's...
Ow! I worked at
Chuck E. Cheese.
I worked at Chuck E. Cheese, right? And I'm wearing a green shirt too, you little bitch.
So basically, like the Chuck E. Cheese employee just walking on his face, he's like, my chest is
I'm having chest pains. Don't do that again, okay? Because we almost instantly both fell upon this one.
Juju.
When we started talking about it, we almost both talked about this one, even though it wasn't even like out or displayed.
Yeah,
but we both thought that we should use this one, so it's kind of hashtag
I got this like 5 years ago, and I don't know what was wrong with me, but like 2 years after I got it, I was like, this stuff, creepy. So I stuffed it way in the back of my stuffy desk, and it has been there ever since. Except.
Okay, so can you summarize what you do with this one?
Basically,
and we can hit on some of the things that are specific. As you summarize, I'll kind of hit the things that are specific and important.
Basically, you fill a doll with uncooked rice, put your fingernail in it, disgusting. Put the doll, or purify,
Rip it open.
Fill the bathtub with water, and then you want to purify the room you're hiding in because, yes, and you also set up a television in there, and you place the cup of salt water and the sharp edge inside the hiding place. This is one of the most important steps. Name the doll.
You have to name the doll and someone who you actually know, right? And don't name it after yourself. And
Joey.
And the other thing is that when you talk about, you have to sew it back up with red.
Oh yes.
Red thread, because that's supposed to be like the blood juice, and you're supposed to then wrap it around, which binds the doll, which you then release during the hide and seek part. You actually release that. So the doll can be released. Okay, continue.
You say, oh God, please don't. Okay, so like the doll's name, you say the doll's name, and then you said is the first it. And then you go to the bathroom, you put the doll.
So you're it.
You put the doll.
You're it.
You put the doll inside the tub. And then you go to your hiding place, turn on the television. Once you finish counting, open your eyes, retrieve your sharp edge, and return to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. Take the doll from the bathroom and say, I have found you.
I found you.
Use your sharp edge to cut the red thread. You are the next it. And you say, like, you are the next it. And then take a large mouthful of salt water. Do not swallow it, though. And emerge from your hiding place and begin looking for the doll. It may not be necessarily in the place that you left it, which is terrifying. Terrifying. When you find the doll, pour the remaining salt water in the cup over it, and spit on it as well with your water from your mouth. And once the game is completed, allow the doll to dry, and then burn it and discard the remains.
So what we have here is a ritual that's designed to put a spirit into the doll and give the doll the power to move about your house and play hide and seek with you. So once again, we have a lot of things here which are all about protection, but the main part of what you're trying to do is you're trying to put a spirit or whatever, because they're really vague, and I think that also has something we can talk about in a moment. But you put it into the doll, and then you are essentially playing with the doll. The doll has free reign to go throughout your house. It probably will not be in the place that you left it in. It's going to be like there's a hide and seek game that goes on. You have to go find the doll, and then when the ritual's over, when the actual hide and seek is over, then you burn it, because whatever spirit is there cannot leave the doll until you do that.
So also the rice that you put inside it is the internal organs. Mm-hmm. Also attracts spirits.
Mm-hmm. Also helps if you drop your cell phone in the water.
The red thread represents a blood vessel and seals whatever spirits you have. Mm-hmm. And so you wrap it, right, and then you snip it, and snipping the thread releases the spirits. When naming your doll, do not give it your own name. It is also advisable to not give it to anyone you know. I would name it Jack the Child because, yeah. Once the game has begun, do not do any of these things, which is turn the lights, lock any doors, make unnecessary noise, and leave your house. It is advisable to emerge from your hiding place, step 2, without, in the ending, like when you salt water in your mouth and the salt in your cup. Do not do that. Do not do it without it. Because of it should protect you if there are any spirits who actually found themselves upon your home, and they might want to do harm, and you just the purpose of the television is to alert you of the presences from potential visitors.
So once again, we have this mix of the ritual involving salt and what seems like voodoo and that kind of stuff, mixed with this ITC idea and this idea of communicating with spirits via the telephone, or via the television. Continue, hon.
Should it begin to display abnormal behavior, do not, under any circumstance, leave your hiding place without the water.
So that's another thing that's become very popular with kids is um, this idea that salt is the ultimate protection. And of course, that's not a new idea at all. It's just one of those things where it's really become in the forefront of adolescent paranormal is salt is used in right? So you do a protective salt, you do all this different stuff, and then I know it's good. There's a little bit of a glitch in the feed. She's thinking that like we've entered the Twilight Zone because it's going chok chok chok. That one kind of freaks me out. Once again, I'm kind of freaked out in the same way that I was in terms of that it's very ritualistic to put intent into an object, and that's something that all those safety precautions it talked about. I'm kind of weirded out about, but I'm more weirded out about the idea of once like that seems like something that people have been doing for centuries. That idea that bad juju that you are looking to invoke something and to capture something, and I think it's really interesting. And we're going a little long, but we have the best for last. It's interesting that in almost all of these, there is no distinction made between monster, demon, and a ghost, right? And so people use this as easily or as interchangeably that it's a demon and it's a ghost. And even in the comments, which I see you're reacting to reading some of the comments on this, even in the comments, people use those words interchangeably. I would be scared as to what would go into this seemingly harmless Chuck E. Cheese. And we're joking about it and stabbing and talking about me working at Chuck E. Cheese as a kid. But that is actually like a really intentful ritual that is, as people have commented on in the chat room, it is all stuff that is based in voodoo, based in that kind of practice. Yes?
So basically, I'm on the site, The Ghost in My Machine, and I'm looking at the comments. Mm-hmm. You see this one right here? That is terrifying.
What happens if you can't find the doll, is what it says.
I would submit to not probably being able to live anymore. Because
that would be a really...
If you cannot find the doll, I would advise you to run as fast as possible to wherever you need to go. Because if you cannot find the doll,
something is going on.
Oh God.
Yeah. Something is beyond your control at that point.
And this person said it with like Yikes. Distress. They said it like there's 3 exclamation points and it's in all caps.
Yeah. And once again,
yeah. And basically
on these sites you have as much of these rituals playing out in the comments as in the thing itself. So in addition to going viral, this becomes a kind of a place where kids can get together and tell their stories of when they did it. And of course, as Ella said at the beginning, if nothing happens, are you going to say nothing happened, or are you going to say no, something completely happened and like I raised the devil himself? Right, so it's one of those things where if you go to a site like Ghost.com or haunted places, they always say like, oh, I know that place, nothing ever happens there, and it's almost a badge of pride. In these sites, it's almost a badge of pride to have something happen, even if something didn't happen. And then kids, as you can see, become obsessed with what other kids experience doing it, even though there's nothing to back it up. Which is how we get things like creepypasta, which really drive the folklore and really kind of our knowledge of the paranormal in the modern times.
Dad, I have to
go to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. You have to go to the bathroom right now during the worst one?
Can you take I will only be 1 second.
You never take 1 second.
I swear.
I got this. Back to Tripping on Legends solo. So we're okay. Thank you. Make sure you have that door open while you do that. We're going to be talking about this next one. Completely freaks me out. I'm going to be honest with you. This is a kid's game, but there's something about it. There are many things about it that are unnerving to me. And as I was reading it, unlike what she just did and what I did when I first went to the other ones, I read in the middle and I was like, oh, wow, how cool. You're essentially inviting something in. It's a ritual that involves a door. Like, I could totally deal with that. That is totally all right with me. Then I started reading a little bit more about the directions, and this one is called The Legend or the Ritual of
the Midnight Man.
The Midnight Man.
And this is the scariest one out of all of them, and I can tell you that. I hate this one.
So this one gained popularity a little bit ago because there was a movie made about it. We started watching the movie today.
And it started getting a little boring.
It was ridiculously silly. But it had all the elements that we were talking about. And it had some really bad acting in it, too. So, and in terms of a movie, it was absolutely horrible. You open the box! So it's although it was doing, I think it was doing a faithful job of kind of playing out what the game is. So to make it short, and I'm not really sure what you're hoping to get from this other than to invoke invoke something dark. Specifically this specific spirit, which seems to be a much darker spirit. So and this one's really good because it has this built-in history of it. Even though they have no history of who the Midnight Man is, they do have a history of what it used to be used for, which was
punishing people in... Okay, so it says, it is believed that the Midnight Game was once an old pagan ritual used as a punishment for those who dared to disobey the gods.
So what that is saying is you would disobey the gods and other people would release the Midnight Man on you. And then you would kind of have to be forced to deal with the repercussions of that.
Robert the Doll.
Yes, Robert the Doll. Robert the Doll.
Wait,
Robert the Doll.
Robert the Doll. All right. Can I read the whole thing? Because there's a lot. There's not a ton of steps.
I would say no, because there is a lot to this. But why don't? Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Because it is kind of involved.
Okay.
But then not.
Begin prior to midnight. Write your full name, first, middle, last, on the piece of paper with your writing implement. Prick your finger with a pin and squeeze until a drop of blood appears. Stop the blood on the paper and allow it to soak in. Turn off.
So that's where you lose me right there because we both hate needles.
Disgusting. Disgusting.
So continue.
Turn off every light in your house. Place the paper with your name and blood on it in front of the closed wooden door. Light the candle using the matches or lighter and place it on top of the paper. If you are using a taper, please make sure it is in a candle holder.
This next one is kind of interesting to me. Go ahead.
Knock on the door 22 times.
22 times. I have no idea where the 22 comes from.
Was there 22 gods in the pagan times? I don't know.
So.
I'll look it up. The final knock must occur precisely when the clock chimes 12. Open the door, then blow out the candle and close the door. Relight your candle immediately. Keeping your candle in hand and your salt and matches or lighter close by, begin to move about your home. Should your candle go out, you must relight it within the next 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
If you are successful, continue moving about your home. Do not stop moving until 3:33 a.m. If you are unsuccessful in relighting the candle, immediately surround yourself with a circle of salt. Remain inside the circle until 3:33. At 3:33, it is safe to stop moving or step outside your circle of salt. You may also turn the lights. The game is over. The Midnight Man can be played with more than one player. All players are principals, which means they all move about.
So the movie focuses on the fact that this one character, when she was a child, did it, and both the kids freaked out and left the circle of salt and were killed. That's not a spoiler. It happens the first minute of the movie.
Okay. The invitation welcomes an entity known as the Midnight Man inside your house. The goal of the game is to avoid meeting the Midnight Man in the dark. Continuously moving about your house will make it more difficult for him to find you. Should you stop moving at any point, he will catch you. Accounts differ as to what befalls the players caught by the Midnight Man. Mm-hmm. Some say he will induce a hallucination of your worst fear until the end of the game, which I think is implied in the movie because they were talking about the worst fears.
Mm-hmm.
And others claim he will remove your organs one by one. That's terrifying.
So there really is no benefit of this game, right? So this game, unlike the other ones where you get some kind of knowledge or something, this game is really designed to have you just bring something into your house and then avoid it. So it kind of gives you at least a personal proof. I know it's past your bedtime.
No, shut up.
It brings something into your house, which you then spend the rest of the time avoiding. And you keep it away by the salt, you keep it away by the light, you keep it away by moving throughout your house.
So,
and if he catches you, or if any of those things fall, then you get these hallucinations. Your worst fears come into your mind. You get ripped apart, things like that.
So what was that?
Me burping.
Indication that the Midnight Man is near include, but are not limited to, sudden drops in temperature, the sound of a soft whisper with no discernible source, the appearance of a humanoid figure within the darkness, or the candle going out. Should you experience any of the first 3 occurrences, leave the area immediately. Should you experience the 4th, do the relighting thing. Do not fail to do either. There are no known methods to abort the game. Do not turn. At 3:33, the Midnight Man will leave your house. After he has left, you may safely end the game. Do not turn on any lights during the game. Do not use a flashlight during the game. Do not go to sleep during the game. Do not use a lighter instead of a candle during the game. Do not use a person's blood other than your own during the game. Do not.
Hey, can I borrow some of your blood to do this?
Sure,
yeah, got it.
Yeah. Do not attempt to leave your house during the game. Do not attempt to provoke the Midnight Man during the game. And most importantly, do not assume that the Midnight Man has left your home for good at the conclusion of the game.
So that one, even at the ending, the last note of it is, you've done everything. You've done all the things you're supposed to do. The game's over. But don't assume that he's left. So he could still be there. So we could be bringing something into the house which will then never leave. Especially in these times of quarantine. It's something else, someone else stuck in here with us. So this one frightens me for so. Okay, good. Thank you.
Stay on this page.
Actually, it's okay. This one weirds me out for so many reasons. The first being the blood. The second being blood. By the time you involve blood in something that you do with paranormal or supernatural, you're asking for trouble. While I do not think that this is necessarily like we said in some of the other ones, that it's necessarily mimics something from that they used to do in ancient times and pagans and all that stuff that they said, it does seem very ritualized, and it does. I've used that word a lot but it does seem like something very, very specific, and very involved. And blood to me is just opening stuff that I'm not sure that I would ever want opened, And so I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna take, but I definitely, this is one that I am hesitant on. I like some of the rules of this one when I do it, though, in that I will have a light on just so that you can actually see the filming of it. This is one of the ones that I'm definitely not going to do. Why does this one scare you?
Blood. The thought of the fact that if I stop moving, because you have to do this for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Mind you, 3 and 33 minutes. So basically, if you stop moving at any point in time, he will catch you.
And I don't think the ritual says that you see him unless you make mistakes, right? So essentially, if you do everything right, you've done it for a reason.
If you've seen a humanoid figure in the shadows, leave. You have to leave. So
I think that when I do this one, if I totally agree to do this one, when I do this, I am going to blow the candle out. I'm going to intentionally try to get. I'm not trying to provoke.
You're not.
But I think that.
Hello, Natalie.
But I think, hey, Natalie. But I think it's one of those ones where I want to see what happens if you go the other way with it. Otherwise, it's just me walking around for 3.5 hours, which is not very exciting for anybody. However, I think that this being ritual, this being a ceremony that really taps into all the things that I'm scared of, I would want to intentionally speed it up by doing something wrong. Intentionally, that was meant to. But once again, that dark figure in the house, like that's a crazy thing. But we have all of the things there that we've talked about. It's got the 333. I don't know where the 22 comes from. It's got the.
I have a comment on the 22.
Okay, go ahead. You've got something about the 22.
Somebody said in the comments about this one, as a pagan Wiccan,
pagan Wiccan, we use this for Samhain, Halloween. You're supposed to 1 times for every hour, and the Midnight Man is believed to be Charon or Hades. Because I think I don't know who Charon is. I know who Hades is.
Charon is, I think...
She's looked it up.
Oh, shut up. I think I knew this already, but I'm going to check just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Charon is, he's like the guy who like takes the souls across the river.
Oh, the river Styx.
Yes, the river
All right,
Styx.
I got you. I got that. I got that. Not the band Styx, but the river Styx. I got that.
And
this one also is one of those. It's interesting. Of all the ones that we've talked about that are on that Ghost in My Machine, the combination of this is the most interesting because whether it's the popularity of the movie or someone, see, Amanda got it. She knew right away. The idea of this one as being specific and urban legendy is right there on the page because people contradict each other. There's conflict as to what you're honestly supposed to be doing. There's that one thing, there's one post that says, if something goes wrong, you're supposed to make the sign of the cross in blood. And then on the floor, you're supposed to make it like on the entranceways.
And he'll get freaked out and leave your house
for a week.
And so after the week, like the day before the week ends,
yeah,
you go all around your house and you sprinkle salt in a circle of salt all around your house so that he cannot get to you.
So this is, are you laughing at that?
Yeah, I'm laughing at this.
This is one of those ones that, much like Bloody Mary, of all of these, like Bloody Mary has all these different variations and all these different things to it that are making it seem like an urban legend. Oh my word, I did that, but we did it this way. Or I've done it this way and it was more effective. Or I heard, and they apply all these other urban legend things to it, such as the cross, such as the circle of salt around the entire house, the doorways with blood. Those are all things that harken back to other legends that people have kind of heard and kind of put on this. So this is definitely going to be an interesting week as he's out.
Also, what makes this like not so incredibly scary is the fact that somewhere in the comments this dude is like, "This is freaking scary, dude. Why would anyone want to play this?" And someone named the Midnight Man commented, "Well, it's my favorite game."
Right. So it's there are definitely things that people are playing also, with each other on.
It looks like nobody can like go to his email because like if you can click on anyone else. And
that helps add to the mystique, right? Like that's why these urban legends get so fueled is because you don't know that who this person is, but you are giving Ethan Hacklock and Amber power, right? By trusting them. You don't know them from and we've talked to kids about internet safety and things like that, but that doesn't necessarily extend to this idea of that people like Lilith 666. Probably her name isn't Lilith and her last name's not 666. These are all kind of what help for them to make it seem like it's real, right? That suspension of disbelief of being on the internet, being in a chat room, being able to communicate, having Estefano Baptista respond to something that you say, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, it's got to be real. Estefano Batista said it happened to him, and he then emailed me back or messaged me back.
I played the game with my friends, and we actually broke some rules, and many things went wrong after.
Warning. So we're going to play these out over the next week. There are some that Ella's going to be able to do with me, the safer ones. The other one's creepier. So what we'll probably do is do a video. I'll probably do a video live as we do each of these. And then it's going to be one of those things where I'll then probably edit those together for just like a fun, extra kind of bit show. So, bit show. So,
also, somebody said
follow us on our social media stuff. No, we have to close things out.
That's okay.
Follow us on our social media stuff so you can make sure that you get those videos and get that live stuff. The Facebook, which is the Facebook page, which is kind of the dump site for everything, is facebook.com/trippingonlegends. The Instagram, which is becoming our next favorite place, is Spooky Tripping. Our Twitter is at Spooky Balzano, and the website, which is also a great way for you to follow up with This Town is Myth and Haunted Love, is www.trippingonlegends.wordpress.com. And as always, you can give us the phone number. The phone number's in the show notes, as well as on all of our different social media parts as well.
813-418-6822.
You can give us a call anytime. It doesn't necessarily have to be while we're doing one of our live shows. So we've got a lot of stuff coming up this next week. You're going to want to make sure that you are following up. And actually, it'll probably be the week after because we have to actually release the show before. Anyway, I'm Christopher Balzano.
And I'm Ella Balzano.
And here's hoping that... what are you doing? You're just...
I'm right with you.
I say that part. I always say that part.
Okay.
So you're going to say that part now?
No,
all right. I'm Christopher Balzano.
I'm Ella Balzano. And here's hoping all your trips
are legendary.